Ahoy, Minnetonka. I'm David Law, Superintendent of Minnetonka Schools. Thank you for joining us for this episode of our district podcast, Ahoy, Minnetonka. Today we're talking about how the district invests in technology inside and outside the classroom, and in the safety and security of our students and staff. I'm pleased to welcome our Executive Director of Technology, Mike Dronen, and our Security and Emergency Management Coordinator, Scott Gerlicher, to our podcast. Thank you both for being here. Please tell us a little bit about your role in Minnetonka.
Thank you, David. I currently serve as the Executive Director of Technology for Minnetonka. I'm entering my 11th year this year. It's been a wonderful time in Minnetonka. I remember where we were 11 years ago. I kind of have a sense of where we are today, and I'm excited about the future. Prior to here, I worked with the Stillwater Area Public Schools in a similar role. Prior to that, I was a middle school teacher and worked in technology for the Minneapolis Public Schools for about 13 years. So I've got some of that urban experience, classroom experience, and technology as well. So,
awesome, thank you. Scott, how about you? This is a fairly new role.
Yeah, it is new. Thanks for having me. I recently retired after 32 years in the law enforcement field, and during that time I had the privilege of helping to oversee some of the largest events in the Twin Cities, the Super Bowl, Final Four, All-Star Game, as well as the Republican National Convention going back a few years.
Good things to set you up for working in Minnetonka.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. More recently, also, I have taught undergraduate studies at St. Mary's University. And in fact, I've served here as a reserve teacher prior to taking on this role.
Thank you for that also.
Yeah. I also have 3 daughters that went to Minnetonka Schools, and I myself am a graduate of Minnetonka High School as well.
Go Skippers.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mike, when I came here, one of the things I heard about Minnetonka is that we're forward-leaning with our technology. And I've had the chance to see just some of the work over the last year about Classroom of the Future and experience firsthand how that innovation process goes. Can you just talk to our community about what does it mean to be forward-leaning, and how have you worked with the district to keep us moving that direction?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, Minnetonka is such a unique place in terms of the creative, innovative, passionate thinkers that are a part of our community, their willingness to serve and volunteer and lean into the community and do some of the hard work for us as well. 11 years ago, this district had just launched its one-to-one iPad initiative. It was very new at that time, and there was a lot of work that the district did to help that become as successful as it was. But one of the reasons they did it was we saw the future was in the ability for students to be able to have computation right in their hands and to use that as a lever to accelerate some of their learning, while at the same time we as a district had to work to put bumpers around it and provide some of the best opportunities we could, from whether that's staff development for teachers to a variety of other things. And as you would imagine, other districts began to do one-to-one as well, as they saw the power of doing it. But I think the secret to Minnetonka in terms of their forward-leaning approach to technology has to do with their spirit of innovation, which in our case is always driven by one single question: what's best for our students? Mm-hmm. And regardless of what stands in the way, that's a mere opportunity to get through it, to get to what's best. So even if the work might be difficult or unique or nobody's really done it before, but we see promise in it, we'll go ahead and lean into that. So as we look at our history, we see 3 or 4 eras where significant things happened in the instructional technology space. And now we're very excited about this next, what we think is going to be our next era, our 4th era, if you will, which we're calling Classroom of the Future, which has a lot to do with collaboration. It has a lot to do with equity in terms of visual seeing of data and the ability to hear it and experience it more fully, and some mobility so teachers can work and teach from a variety of locations in their classrooms, so on and so forth. So really excited about that next stage as well. So those are some of the components, but as we peel back the covers and say, really what's the real magic? The real magic ultimately comes down to the willingness of our students to work hard, our parents to support them, our staff. My team is just a wonderful team. They do a great job, as really all of our staff team do here, and our teachers really to lean in hard and do the hard work of trying new things, even though it might be uncomfortable, or even though they've maybe never done it that way before. So it's really the people that make Minnetonka, Minnetonka.
Well, I when we talked about Classroom of the Future, and right away people have this perception of what are they recommending for a device or what are they recommending for a presentation tool, I was pretty impressed that we're not identifying a thing, it's a concept. And so that's been exciting. I can't wait to see where it goes. behind the scenes, we're all aware that it seems like you can't pass a week where there's a data question about data security, and we're so committed to protecting our students' data and our parents' data. Talk a little bit about the infrastructure work that happens behind the scenes to keep as thick a wall as possible from people with bad intent and the learning and the data that happens in our system.
Absolutely. One of the questions we're going to ask a series of superintendents next week, early next week, are how has your district changed in the last 5 years just related to cybersecurity? And we're going to get an earful from them, and I'm really looking forward to that conversation. And I can look back at the last couple of years, the last 5 years, or even the last 10 years. Our approach in Minnetonka has always been to take a risk approach. And by that, what we're looking at is what's the likelihood of this particular thing occurring? And if it were to occur, what would be the severity on either the confidentiality of our information, the access to it, or the integrity of it? At the end of the day, we talk about either cybersecurity, which is kind of the computer part of it, or in a broader scope, information security, which Scott will, part of Scott's work is all a part of this framework, but it's really about people. We're protecting information because we want to protect people. We don't want their information to be leaked. We don't want it to be used or abused. Our business is a people business, so we lean hard into the work we do in information security, whether it's our policy procedure work, our team, our highly selected set of vendors that we work with, because we care about the people. At the end of the day, it's the people we care about in our practice. So the risk approach, the people we care about, we were one of the first districts to actually have school board policy on information cybersecurity adopted by the board several years ago. And the reason we put that in was as times may change, as personnel may change, as leadership may change, the board understood having a policy related to information cybersecurity very critical for what we do. And of course, the other part a lot of our community is aware of is not just keeping information safe, but keeping children safe as well. And Scott's going to talk about that, I know, as well. But we also want to make sure we're doing all we can to help them stay safe online. And part of that means helping students understand what's appropriate, what's not appropriate online as well. So that's a little bit of our framework.
This fall, I've been part of and took the exam. You sent out something for every employee. Talk about that process about uptraining employees on this as it's ever changing.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. Many people in the cybersecurity information world will say that your biggest weakness is your people, and that's generally true. But on the other side, your biggest asset is also your people. And what I mean by that is quite often it's a human being who recognizes that something might be afoot or something might not seem right, and they'll share it, they'll bubble it up, and we can respond to it or look at it. That is driven by building a culture that's aware of cyber information potential compromises, and that doesn't happen overnight. So we've been pretty diligent the last 5 or 6 years to try to train and change our culture and make it a culture that's more aware of the need to protect information, be careful with credentials, things along those lines, implementing things like multi-factor authentication. When we first rolled that out, a number of folks were, this isn't really convenient for me to have to pull out my phone almost every time. But when we help them understand that, it's much more inconvenient to understand that your login doesn't work and all your data's gone. Mm-hmm. So our staff really adapted quickly to that. So this year, we had a requirement of all of our employees in the district to go through a pretty decent, I think, small training program. And they had from August through the month of September to do it, and the vast majority of staff did it, of course, and had really good feedback on it. So that's one element. And now as we are in the month of October, which is known as Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we'll have some other pieces, both for students as well as some of our families. So we're looking forward to that. And those are things yet to come. So hopefully the community will stay tuned to see what those things are as they roll out this month.
Awesome. Thank you for the work you do. It's so important to our community to protect our kids. And across the state, we've had that. Scott, turning to you, yours is a new role. I mean, what are some of the things you've done in the last 2 months as you've come on board? What have you learned? What are you working on?
Yeah, I've had a great opportunity to meet staff from all the different schools in the district, and part of my role, I think, is to take an objective look at what is in place now, what type of security measures and emergency plans that we have throughout the district, trying to make sure that those plans are both up to national standards as well as statewide standards. and that they're being applied consistently across the various schools that we have in our district. The other thing, part of my role is meeting with our local law enforcement partners. We have 5 different law enforcement agencies serving the Minnetonka School District, and we had a chance just recently to sit down with the chiefs and sheriffs of those organizations to talk about our own preparedness as well as their preparedness to respond to any emergencies taking place at any of our facilities. Also this fall, we're going to be looking to train all of our staff at every school on some updated emergency procedures that we have in place. So there's a kind of a wide sampling of things that I've been involved with just in the past couple of months.
Right. So one of the things that's been discussed on the news lately, and certainly we've been involved with it, is school resource officers. And we're fortunate Minnetonka Police has 2 in this building. Most people don't have any idea about that role. Can you just talk a little bit about the value of school resource officers?
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have our 2 school resource officers, SROs, working full-time within Minnetonka High School. Dustin and Armando, they're great police officers. They've gained the respect and trust of not only the staff, but the students as well. It's certainly great to have them here from a safety and security perspective, but just the relationships that they've been able to establish also are extremely important. As a former police officer myself, I know that it's so important to establish those relationships before a crisis so that you have those relationships in place and you have that trust in place. And the fact that they are here full time, diffusing situations that might otherwise escalate, just establishing a rapport with all the students. They're out during every passing time talking with students, they're shaking hands, they're inquiring about the kids' personal lives and sports that they have going on. So it's that positive experience that kids have with police in a non-confrontational manner that's been extremely important.
Yeah. Well, people don't realize when you've got over 3,700 students and staff on campus, this building is a small city during the day, and it wouldn't be unreasonable to have law enforcement in a city of 3,000 people. So this is really a station for those people, and I agree with you. I'm amazed at the number of first names that those officers know and that they can interact with in a positive fashion. And the other part I think that I forget about is how helpful they can be to students and parents when they have questions in the community. And here someone is, they can just walk up and say, hey, we have a question about this thing in our neighborhood. Can you give us some guidance? So they are much more than enforcement. They're a lot more of relationship building and productivity. Thank you for sharing that. So as we're looking over the rest of the year, what are some of the projects that the public might be curious about that are happening between now and June? Anything coming up for the district in either of your roles?
Classroom of the Future is a piece that I think students are, right now we're doing some experimenting with it, and we're seeing some great adoption and feedback from students and our faculty here at the high school and a couple other locations as well. We're also doing some infrastructure pieces, which doesn't have as much appeal unless you're a technical person along those lines. So that's all required to keep some of these other pieces working. So Classroom of the Future, I would say to the community, keep your eye on that. It's part of a board goal, one of the subset pieces in there, as you're aware. So we're very excited about that. We're going to be working with our friends in the Teaching and Learning Department. Our Director of Instructional Technology, Amanda Fay, has been heading up a lot of that project. And together we'll see some implementation of that as the year goes on.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask the question that some parents have asked. Our goal is never to keep kids on a screen the entire school day.
That is correct, right. You know, we say you know when to use technology as a teacher when you know best when not to use it. And so our goal is never to do that. Our goal is to use the technology, whatever it might be, at the right time and the right way to support the lesson, whether that's in school or outside of school. So our youngest learners, they really don't have a strong need for iPad being at home, so they stay at school. But as students get older in the organization, there's more off-site work to do, and so we'll see those go home as well. So yeah, we're very cognizant, and we understand that not all screen time is created equally. There's entertainment screen time, which really isn't a part of what we do as a K-12 organization. And then there's engaged, interactive learning screen time, which is really the heart of what we do.
Thank you for sharing that. Scott, anything from now to over the next 8 months that you're excited about or the community might be interested in?
Well, as I said, we're really taking a close look at all of our crisis response, emergency response plans, and updating some of those. Again, making sure they're consistent across the district. We're also, as I mentioned, training all of our staff, teachers, principals, clerical staff, everybody on some updated emergency response procedures that we've developed in conjunction with law enforcement. So that's really ongoing right now. We also are going to be looking at, we already have taken a lot of steps to harden the perimeter of all of our buildings out there. As well, we do have secure vestibules and perimeters as people enter the building, and a visitor management system so that any parent or visitor that is going to be coming into one of our schools has to go through a screening process where they have to provide their driver's license, and that license is scanned in and checked against a predatory offender database just to make sure that we know who's in the building and that we're doing some preliminary screening of those folks coming into our facilities. So those are some measures that we have currently. We're also looking always at new technologies that can help all of our staff and students remain safe. So that's ongoing work as well.
Sure. I think for both of you, we're never done, right? We're constantly looking at our current status and the information we have and what we can do to improve with what we know today. I want to thank you both for being here. Your roles are so critical to keep our kids safe. And when we keep our kids safe, it isn't just physically safe, it's keeping our kids and their personal information safe. And you both play such an important role in that. Thank you both for committing to that. And I want to thank you for joining us today for this podcast. I look forward to seeing you again in the future. And ahoy, Minnetonka.